two dreams I had. One is I want a Rolls Royce before I'm 30. And second is that I want to bring my home son the first time he sits in any car and he comes home, I want him to come in a Rolls Royce. And I think over the course of 3-4 years, we brought 40 plus to Pakistan of the world's leading travel vloggers. And I think accumulated over 100 million views across all social media platforms. Just before the Queen passed away, the King was actually scheduled as Prince Charles to visit Pakistan. I believe it was August of last year.
Hello and Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is me Uzair and I welcome you all in this all new episode of Sapiens Experience. हमारी अब तक के episodes में you have loved each and every guest that we have invited on our show and उनकी कुछ ज़बरदस्त stories से आपने सीखा भी है. So following the trend we have invited one of the phenomenal ब्रिटिश पाकिस्तानी टू आवर पॉडकास्ट सीरीज़. आज के एपिसोड में आप उनको विटनेस करेंगे, आप उनको देखेंगे और कुछ उनकी स्टोरी सुनेंगे. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट अ पर्सन हु इज़ नोन टू बी एन एंटरप्रेन्योर एंड ग्लोबली उनकी अगर हम सिर्फ इन्वेस्टमेंट्स की बात करें या ट्रांजैक्शंस को जो उन्होंने डील किया है दैट इज़ अराउंड $1.3 billion. एंड उनसे बात करते हैं, कुछ इसी से रिलेटेड हम चीज़ें डिस्कस भी करेंगे. लेट्स वेलकम मिस्टर ज़ीशान शाह. अस्सलाम वालेकुम ज़ीशान, हाउ आर यू?
Waalaikumussalam, thank you, very good.
Thank you so much for giving us time, Zeeshan, and it's a pleasure having you on the podcast series. सबसे पहले तो बात करेंगे the reason for you getting all this fame and बात करेंगे हम apprentice series की. And usually people know, especially अगर हम बात करें UK and US के जो overseas Pakistanis and not only overseas Pakistanis बल्कि जो वहाँ के residents हैं वो आपको जानते हैं सीरीज़ के हवाले से. Tell us about this कि you were I guess 26-year-old when you were part of that show. क्या experience था and when you actually realized कि मुझे इस show में चले जाना चाहिए?
Actually somebody gave me some very bad advice. मुझे एक बल्कि मेरे cousin ने कहा कि bro, you need to go on this show, The Apprentice. You're going to win it. ठीक है? तो you should apply for it. तो मैंने मजाक में apply कर दिया. उसने बोला कि you're going to win that show if you went for it. It was bad advice because I didn't win the show. But, I applied for it and I got on. There's over 100,000 people apply in the UK every year. It's the most watched business TV show in the UK period. So UK के अंदर basically it's on BBC One, which is the most watched channel. And it was a phenomenal experience, the whole process of, going through the rounds of getting onto the show, the interview process, then being on the show itself. It was a really cool experience. And I think for about 3 months after the show went live, I was sort of famous as well for 3 months. Yeah, I'd go to restaurants and everyone would want a selfie with me and people want to talk to me and etc. So it was a fun experience.
That's incredible. अच्छा, इस शो के बारे में अगर हम थोड़ा सा और डिटेल में जाएं, so you have mentioned that people were actually over you, they wanted to have a picture with you and similar situations occurred during and after the show. इससे अगर हम फाइनेंशियली बात करें, सो यू गॉट एनी अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ आफ्टर द शो जिसकी वजह से ख़ासतौर से शो में पार्टिसिपेट करने की वजह से पीपल केम टू यू और एनी फर्म्स हु वर इन्वॉल्व्ड इन ऑल दिस टाइम ये जो शो देख रही थी, कुछ उधर से अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ आई आपकी तरफ?
Yeah, I think a lot of opportunities did come after the show. Not immediately. It wasn't like I was on the show and the next day my phone's ringing and people are like, I want to give you this opportunity and that opportunity. Not like that. But over the space of a few years, right, cumulatively, a lot of different opportunities came my way. People obviously, what that show did was it gave me huge exposure on an international, on a global level.
Okay.
And that like just over time opened a lot of opportunities for me. And, it was just like, for example, let's say I'm in the real estate business. That's our core business is real estate. So let's say somebody's doing something in the real estate world. Now, all of a sudden, my name will come up in conversations. Oh, Zeeshan was that guy on The Apprentice. He also does this. Oh, really? Do you know him? Let's connect with him. So it just gave me a lot more exposure, which brought opportunities my way. But like there's a lot of people, and I'd say the vast majority of people go on The Apprentice and they walk away and they don't really benefit from it in any way. So you have to, like with anything in life, success comes when preparation meets opportunity. So
Absolutely.
you have to be prepared to convert those opportunities that are going to come your way. There's no good in just going on the show or getting on the show and then thinking that, acha, my life is going to change from this. It won't. You have to be prepared to convert the exposure, convert the opportunities that come your way.
Zeeshan, one of the positive things that I have seen in you is कि आप जो है अपने आप को relate of course अभी भी पाकिस्तान से करते हैं, and talking about the real estate projects उसकी तरफ हम आएंगे, but mentioning that you are an overseas Pakistani and specifically a British overseas Pakistani. Tell us about the mileage that you have achieved so far, mentioning this, or was there any drawback initially जब आप mention करते थे, because you are living in central London, and central London में we have seen majorly the people who are living over there are Arabs or गोरे हैं, mentioning and people seeing you as a motivation in central London. Tell us how that works.
Actually, you just reminded me of one thing which is very interesting. Like I used to, I still have some cars, but I'm not so into cars anymore. But when I was in my late 20s and even into my early 30s, I had quite a few cars. And all of my cars, they were the same color. So we used Blue, yes, blue. So we had, you know, when I was 29 years old, I bought my first Rolls Royce, which was a Ghost. And I picked up my son. My first son was born when I was 30. And I bought the car. No, sorry, I was 29 when he was I can't remember the exact number, but I picked him up. Basically, my dream was I picked him up from the hospital, brought him home in the Rolls Royce, right?
Okay.
And then from there
you
on,
actually planned that.
Yeah, exactly. I bought the car 6 months or so before he was born. And two dreams I had. One is I want a Rolls Royce before I'm 30. And second is that I want to bring my home son the first time he sits in any car and he comes home, I want him to come in a Rolls Royce. So I did those two things. And then point is that from there on, then I started buying more and more cars. So, at one point I had like a whole fleet of supercars. And we used to go out on the weekends and, take all of them out in a row, right? And it used to go viral on social media, etc. And everybody used to always think I'm Arab, right? So they used to come up to me and be like, where are you from in the Middle East? Where are you from in the GCC? Are you Qatari? Are you, just maybe not because how I look, but just because of the cars.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, shit, I need to do something.
Okay, Zeeshan, you have been living in central London and we have seen certain videos of yours जिसमें हमने देखा है कि आपकी जो है बहुत सुपर कार्स होती हैं. सुपर कार्स को यूजली बहुत व्यूअरशिप मिलती है एंड ऑफ कोर्स अगर वो किसी पाकिस्तानी के पास हो सो दैट्स समथिंग फिनोमिनल एज वेल. आई टेक रियली प्राउड ऑफ माई सेल्फ एंड आवर कम्युनिटी जब हम किसी पाकिस्तानी को इस लेवल पे देखते हैं. सो टेल अस अबाउट दैट एक्सपीरियंस, क्योंकि आपके नंबर प्लेट की एक बहुत ज़बरदस्त बात ये भी थी गाड़ियों की, एक तो कि उनका सिंक्रोनाइज वे में एक वो पैटर्न में चलती थी, कलर उनका सेम होता था. ये आइडिया कैसे आया कि जी लंदन में रह के पाकिस्तान रिलेटेड नंबर प्लेट्स यूज़ कर दी हैं गाड़ियों की?
ये था कि बेसिकली वो ओवर द इयर्स मुझे अब तो इतना नहीं है, बट व्हेन आई वाज यंगर, लेट 20s अर्ली 30s, गाड़ियों का बड़ा शौक होता था. सो आई हैड अ होल फ्लीट ऑफ कार्स, a whole mix of cars in there, Rolls Royce, Lamborghini, etc. and various cars. And whenever उसको सारों को वीकेंड्स को ख़ास तौर पे सबको एक लाइन से बाहर लेके जाते थे, सारे एक कलर की होती थी. तो जब भी हम कहीं रुकते थे तो people used to always come over and say, oh, are you from Qatar, are you from Dubai, are you from Abu Dhabi, Saudi, सब समझते GCC से, because it's very dominant.
Yeah,
Central London is very dominated by GCC tourists in a good way. There's nothing wrong with that.
True.
But then I was like, यार ये सारे जो हैं मुझे बस अरबी समझते हैं. So then we had उस टाइम पे गाड़ी में नंबर सारे one होते थे to represent the company. So then I changed it now, and then all the cars then I put the number plate was something PAK. So we've got 12 PAK, 11 PAK, 14 PAK.
Wow.
Sorry, and then the ambassador, he has 1 PAK. So we got all the PAK. अब तो मगर वो शौक चले गए, don't have as many cars anymore, but we still have the number plates.
I really hope कि वो ट्रेंड किसी और ने आगे फॉरवर्ड लेके चला हो. इस ट्रेंड को बड़ा मुश्किल है इस ट्रेंड को आगे लेके चलना.
I think I bought all the good ones.
Okay.
वहाँ जो कन्फिगरेशन होती है नंबर प्लेट की, वो बनी बनाई होती है, you can't make them. तो I think I bought all the good ones.
अच्छा, इसके साथ ही हम रिलेट करेंगे इस सिचुएशन को. You have played an integral part in making and keeping the image of Pakistan positive as well. So in general अगर हम बात करें तो over a period of time you have made certain vloggers travel to Pakistan and एक पाकिस्तान का जो image है वो और ज़्यादा अच्छा बनाने के लिए what was the reason behind it? क्या ऐसी चीज़ थी जिसको सोचा क्योंकि ऑलरेडी काफ़ी व्लॉगर्स या काफ़ी लोग पाकिस्तान के इमेज के लिए काम कर रहे होते हैं सो व्हाई वन इन्वेस्टमेंट वन ग्रुप और ज़ीशान शाह केम फॉरवर्ड टू मेक दिस थिंग हैपन
living in London, we have London is the finance capital of the world. London, New York, these are the two real finance hubs of the world. And, daily basis, there's trillions of dollars in transactions that go through these cities. And, just seeing over there the kind of money that moves around, I was like, why doesn't any of this capital flow towards Pakistan? I mean, I'm sure some of it does, but why doesn't a lot more capital flow towards Pakistan?
True.
And I realized that one key core issue is perception, right? Is our branding. When in the West today you say the word Pakistan, it's associated with Afghanistan. Right? That type of thinking. Right?
Yeah.
Nothing bad with Afghanistan, but that type of thinking, the war on terror, terrorism, AK-47, bomb blasts, that is the sort of brand that since 2001 over time that we've ended up accumulating. On the contrary, you look at India and it has this brilliant brand of this vibrant democracy, the world's largest democracy, secular nation, open-minded, bustling economy, growing, emerging, So when you look at these big investment managers sat there in London, and each one of them, the big guys have, hundreds of billions under management. If an opportunity for India comes onto their desk, it's like, wow, let's study this, let's look at it. What's it all about, We want to be part of it. On the contrary, something for Pakistan would end up on their desk. Don't even give it consideration, straight in the bin. Right? So the thought process behind it was, how do we change that perception so that instead of throwing that proposal in the bin, they at least open it and give it a first look. Give it a fair consideration on its value. So it was just about changing that initial first reaction or perception of Pakistan. So at the time, social media influencers were, hugely growing, international travel vloggers, and I think over the course of 3-4 years we brought 40 plus to Pakistan of the world's leading travel vloggers in separate trips, really cool and fun concepts, traveled all of Pakistan within that, and then we would make a movie out of every tour. All the influencers would make their own movies as well. And I think accumulated over 100 million views across all social media platforms. So it had a good positive impact.
Talking about 100 million views and so on, अगर हम बात करें इस कैंपेन की जो आपने लॉन्च की इन यूके जिसमें मल्टीपल बसेस के ऊपर पाकिस्तान की जो है सीनिक ब्यूटी को पोर्ट्रे किया गया, was it part of the same campaign या that was something different that you were doing at that time?
It was part of one broader campaign called Changing Perceptions. Abhi bhi log usko, they can look it up on YouTube and Google. We did a lot. There was several bus campaigns in central London. There was vloggers tours. There was speeches at the Houses of Parliament in the UK. There was engagement from the private sector to the British government, etc. There was a whole host of different areas within it, and we labelled it Changing Perceptions.
Okay, and after
it was completely privately funded. There was no government involvement whatsoever with that. My only complaint with the government probably would be that there was not even any recognition from the government for it. None whatsoever. People would get surprised by that. Everyone thinks, what, really? No one? No, not even a pat on the back saying shabash.
अच्छा, इसी के साथ अगर हम कनेक्ट करें इसको, so people might have thought कि इस कैंपेन या इन सारी कैंपेन्स की वजह से you are currently the ambassador at large as well to bring investments to Pakistan. They might correlate this thing with the current government as well कि आपके इन efforts की वजह से government made you one of the representative to represent Pakistan to the international audience. इसके बारे में क्या कहेंगे?
All of these activities that we did, they were 2018 to 2020. So, I mean, I don't think they're related to the government now giving me this honorary role as ambassador at large. I think, I don't know if that's related or not.
Zeeshan, you have been offered different roles in politics as well. क्या वजह क्या है कि you are not ready to take those roles? Of course, you have been an integral part in your company as well. And हमने देखा है कि चाहे वो UK ऑफिस हो, दुबई ऑफिस हो या लंदन ऑफिस हो, जब भी कोई ऐसी प्रॉब्लम आती है, the problems they have been facing for over weeks, they are on Zoom with you या FaceTime के ऊपर and you're just doing treadmill और आप वो problem solve कर देते हैं. Is it something like you know all the solutions? How do you came up with the solutions that easy?
Okay, so the first part of the question I'll answer, which is that I've been offered to come into politics and take up formal ministerial roles. That's correct. I refuse that. That's also correct. The reason is because for me personally, how I see it, business and politics, they're in conflict with each other.
Achha.
You can't do both things.
Okay.
Right? I'm not at a stage in my life yet where I'm ready to say, you know what, I've done enough for business and I'm ready to commit myself to serving a cause larger than myself, right? So I'm ready to commit to serving the country, the people, etc. Will I ever, when I do reach that stage, will I want to enter politics? I don't know. It's not something I've thought about. I am a very much goal-focused person, tunnel vision person. Right now, I know what my goals are. I know what I'm looking to achieve. That is the only thing that is on my mind, and that is it, right? So that's the reason why I've not taken an active role in politics. But I don't think that I would be able to do it justice. I don't think that I would be able to do it in a proper and fair way, giving it my all. With regard to the second question, which is that, in business, when we have issues and how I'm quite quickly be able to solve them, it all just comes down to experience, right? It's just about...
You have been in that situation maybe previously.
There you go. That's all it comes down to. It's just that whenever people come against a situation or a problem, in my business, for example, I've been in that problem
multiple
5 times
times
over before, and I know this is the exact answer. And that you are right, that happens a lot of the times. People will be going through problems and they'll try this and try that, and in the end they'll come to me and be like, we can't work it out, and I'll be like, bum, do this and that. What? You're a genius, you have all the answers. It's not. It's just that I've been through this process so many times. That's the art of it. You go through it over and over again, and that's how you become an expert.
Zeeshan, you came up with this concept that एक property या कोई भी एक real estate होती थी in a particular area, and you were actually selling that in another part of the world. Tell us about this type of structure that is working, and right now काफ़ी लोग जो है इस तरह के structure को follow भी कर रहे हैं. For example, जो current projects पाकिस्तान में भी चल रहे हैं, they are focusing towards the overseas Pakistanis, या अगर UAE में projects चल रहे हैं, so they are focusing everyone globally. So tell us how this algorithm या mechanism works, where you are part of one country and you are actually selling it to the other countries. Is it more fascinating for the people living in those countries?
Yeah, when it comes to that, that is actually what our business is and has always been. We've always been a company that sells property from one country to people in another country. Initially, it was selling UK property to people in Asia, so Singapore, Hong Kong, in the Middle East. Then it became, when the UK market slowed down a bit, then it became selling Dubai property to people in the West, so Europe and North America. And now it is also, developing, building in Pakistan and selling that globally to the overseas diaspora. So we've kind of become this expert in selling one country's property to people in another country. And really, I think there was one key moment, there was one turning point in this entire process that enabled the business to get where it is today. That is circling back to 2016.
Gavadir?
No. 2016. Circling back to 2016. What happened was that I got served an ad on Facebook.
Okay.
Right? So that's 7 years ago. I got served an ad on Facebook, and I was like, huh? How can you add? How is somebody targeting me with such a relevant product to me on Facebook? Immediately, I went and downloaded Facebook Ads Manager, and I went into Ads Manager, and I was like, shit. So I can say that I want to target somebody in London who's interested in Dubai property, right? Who flies frequently, right? So basically, I can say location London, interest is Dubai. Income flies growth. Frequently, interested in Louis Vuitton, for argument's sake. So I've got a rich guy living in London who goes to Dubai, who's interested in Dubai. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Because prior to that, when you wanted to sell international property, you had to go and make networks, meet people, associations, get people in, local agents,
do several meetings,
groundwork, a lot, exactly. So that's when I realized that this has just brought a whole different level of speed and scale to my business. And we just scaled out from there. We just utilized that. And our current spend on Facebook ads in the last 7 years is, $15 million upwards. And for the initial 2 years, I used to do the campaigns myself. Sit on every campaign, write the copy, choose the creative, execute the campaign back to front. And that really was a game changer for us, is where we were able to scale very, very fast. And that's what it is in business. You've preparation and opportunity. You've got to be prepared so that when that opening comes, when the opportunity comes, you can recognize it. I knew in that moment, and there were people around me in the office, and literally I was bursting with excitement, telling them, guys, you don't understand. Look at this. Look what I can do. And they were like, yeah, whatever. But I knew what that meant. And that is what success is all about, is having so much experience that when the opportunity comes in front of you, you recognize, you have the ability to recognize what the opportunity is and what you can do with it. And then obviously have the confidence, have the power within you to go and execute fast.
अच्छा, इसी से related, Zeeshan, you have met several overseas Pakistanis who have been living abroad like for their 2 generations or 3 generations. So tell us about this. How easy it is or how difficult is it to convince them कि आप पाकिस्तान में invest करें, ना सिर्फ real estate के अंदर बल्कि different projects के अंदर. We have seen you have been bringing a lot of investments to Pakistan as well. So tell us कि ये process कैसा रहा है आपका और अभी क्या चल रहा है इस process में?
Starting from a business perspective, every business is problem solving. And the bigger the problem you're solving and the more people you solve that problem for, the more money you make.
Okay.
Right? So the problem that we solve with our Pakistan business, One Homes, is that there is a huge trust deficit when people from overseas buy property in Pakistan. Very often they are they get sold for the highest price, but they're lowest on the developer's list of priorities. And unfortunately, they're quite prone to being part of scams, etc. So that is the problem that we addressed. We are an overseas Pakistani-owned company. We have offices in Dubai, London, Houston, key areas where the community is, right? And we operate in Pakistan with the same standards of trust, transparency, and sincerity as we do in the West. From the way we buy the land to everything throughout our process, we use lawyers. It's just exactly, we've replicated how we do business in the UK. We've replicated that in Pakistan. So that is the key issue that overseas have when investing in Pakistan, is security of their investment. And that is the problem that we solve.
Zeeshan, we have seen your pictures particularly with King Charles as well. And you have been member of a foundation or there's a thing that was developed associated to King Charles. So tell us about this, ke ye kya hai and what are your responsibilities in that particular circle of people that you have been involved with?
The British Asian Trust, it is a foundation that was set up by, at the time, the Prince of Wales, Prince Charles, who's now King Charles. And it's his sort of flagship charity for the South Asia region. Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. You have Mia Manshas on the board in India, Ambani's on the board. It's really the who's who of the global South Asian community is involved with it. And I'm part of the founders circle at the British Asian Trust. And we just, we do fundraising for projects. I'm mostly involved with the Pakistan chapter. In Pakistan, we have one of the largest mental health programs in Pakistan. Because आपको पता है पाकिस्तान के अंदर usually किसी को अगर mental health problems होते हैं, very common thing that लोग कहते हैं इसको जिन चढ़ गया है, इसको जो है वो अलग-अलग इसको वहाँ ले जाओ. But it's just like they're going through psychological issues. So we have a huge mental health program in Pakistan to counter that. We have a huge entrepreneurship program. So we have in partnership with the City Foundation, over here we take entrepreneurs from underprivileged backgrounds who are doing business but out of necessity. right? तो वो कोई ना कोई छोटा मोटा अपना कारोबार कर रहे हैं, but they don't even realize कि वो entrepreneurs हैं. They just like yeah, to survive, to meet their needs and their family's needs, वो कोई ना कोई छोटा मोटा कारोबार कर रहे हैं. So we identify people like that from those backgrounds, then bring them in for training. And we go through an entire program with them that teach them key digital skills, key communication skills, copywriting, all these different things that will then enable them to scale their business and enhance their business. And it's great because it's so interesting that sometimes that when you bring these kids in, and they're really from really underprivileged backgrounds, you know, they don't realize they're entrepreneurs. When we tell them, yaar, aap businessman ho, you're a businesswoman, they're like, huh? Yeah, you know, you're buying something, you're creating something, and you're making a profit. You are an entrepreneur. So it's a very, very rewarding process. And so I'm involved, that side I'm involved with. And then in the UK, it's you know, we have a lot of fundraising events, we have a lot of networking events that we create, and it comes with its perks as well. You know, for example, the first ever engagement King Charles held in the UK after becoming king was with the British Asian diaspora, right? It was in Edinburgh at the Holyrood House Palace, and I was invited to that. I was invited to the king's coronation. I was invited to the king's, they had a concert at Windsor Castle, where they had Lionel Richie performing, Katy Perry performing, etc. I was invited to that. So it comes with its perks as well. So it's a good cause, get to help those less fortunate, give back, and at the same time, you know, it's a great network of people, and we, you know, get to do some fun things together.
Zeeshan, we have seen the state heads have start visiting Pakistan as well, different countries के. So you being a British Pakistani, and of course आपका इतना ज़्यादा involvement भी है British government के साथ. So do you think any sooner British government में से कोई जो उनके heads हैं, state heads हैं in particular, वो पाकिस्तान visit कर सकते हैं, या you have been trying to do that to bridge gap between these two governments as well?
I think Pakistan and the UK have a very, very close relationship. It's not, you know, a distant relationship. Just before last year, just before the Queen passed away, the King was actually scheduled as Prince Charles to visit Pakistan. I believe it was August of last year, and unfortunately the Queen passed away, and he became king, and that's the reason why he didn't come. But he did say to me when I met him at the Holyrood House Palace after he became king that, you know, I would like to bring that trip back and come back as king. But obviously as king, he's got different protocols and it's going to be at a different stage. But we're going to be pushing to make that trip happen.
That's incredible. We would love to see that as well. Acha, Zeeshan, in real estate investments की बात करें, so you being one of the experts in real estate, tell us about that कि अभी की जो ज़रूरत है throughout the world, जो अभी सिनेरियो चल रहे हैं, रियल एस्टेट इन्वेस्टमेंट कितनी ज़रूरी है. इन पर्टिकुलर अगर हम रीजनली बात करें, साउथ एशियन कंट्रीज़ की अगर हम बात करें, तो इधर इन्वेस्टमेंट एंड रिटर्न्स के बारे में what do you think and what do you suggest to people?
I think we can look. South Asia is a very broad market, but we can focus on Pakistan, for example. You can pick up, the great thing is now Pakistan's got a lot of data and trends, so you can, at least for the last 10 years, all the data has been logged about real estate transactions and values. You can see that in the last decade, prime cities in Pakistan have grown 700-800%, up to 1,000% I've seen in certain cases, right? So prices in Pakistan have been skyrocketing. A lot of people say that, okay, but the currency's lost value at the same time as well. Over this last 10 years, the currency may have lost 50% of its value, but still, even in dollar terms, there is huge returns that have been made in Pakistan real estate. Yet, at the same time, we are still a fraction of the cost of similar cities. Like our major capitals are a fraction of the cost of regional competitive cities, whether they are to our west in Iran or whether they're to our east in India or Bangladesh. We have a long way to grow. You know, at times if you compare us to some of our competitive cities in the region, our prime real estate, prime to prime, we're 80% to 90% lower than them. So that shows you how much room for growth there is. I think when you take a long-term, and real estate is a long-term investment, you should
ठीक है.
always take at least a medium-term view, but if not a long-term view. When you take a medium to long-term view on Pakistan, it's all upside. There's a lot of upside and a lot of potential, and that's why we're here.
That's incredible, and of course seeing the returns, we really hope कि जो overseas Pakistanis हैं वो invest करें वापस पाकिस्तान के अंदर. And right now country needs overseas Pakistanis, and of course this is the time to show how patriotic they are and how close they are with the country. Thank you so much, Zeeshan, for being on the show. It was a pleasure having you, and some thought-provoking ideas as well आपसे मिले हमको.
Yeah, thank you so much, Uzair. I really enjoyed it. It was a great. Thank you for taking the time out. It was good to have a conversation. And let's see how the audience reacts to this one.
Yeah.
And let's see what parts of it they like. Maybe we can do a second one to elaborate on the parts that they enjoyed.
Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in another exciting episode of Sapiens Experience. Till then, take care.